You grab your bag. You say your usual goodbye. Maybe a quick pat on the head. Maybe a drawn-out farewell because that face always makes it hard to leave. You close the door behind you. And then, silence. The house settles. The hum of your presence fades. And on the other side of that door, a creature who has built their entire emotional world around you is left alone, staring at the space where you just were. But what actually happens next? What does your dog do when you're not home? Do they cry for hours? Do they snooze peacefully on the couch? Do they embark on a secret life of chaos and mischief? The moment they hear your car pull away, the answer is more layered, more emotionally rich, and more scientifically fascinating than most dog owners ever suspect. Today, we're going to walk through the full arc of your dog's day, from the moment you leave, through the long, quiet hours, to the moment you return. And by the end, you'll understand your dog's inner world in a way you never have before. The first 5 minutes, the hardest moment. Researchers who study canine behavior have identified something consistent across dozens of peer-reviewed studies. The most difficult moment in a dog's alone time is not the middle of the day. It is not the point farthest from your return. It is the first 5 minutes after you leave. This is when the majority of stress behaviors peak. Dogs pace back and forth near the front door. They scratch at the frame. They whine or bark with a kind of urgent desperation. Some press their nose to the gap at the bottom of the door, searching for the trace of your scent as it fades down the hallway. Heart rates elevate measurably. The stress hormone cortisol spikes in the bloodstream. Your dog is not performing for attention. Their nervous system is having a genuine, physiological response to what their brain registers as a sudden, alarming disappearance. You, the center of their attachment, their secure base, their entire social world, have vanished without warning and without explanation. For a deeply bonded dog, this experience in those first minutes is closer to what a young child feels when a parent walks out of the room than it is to simple inconvenience. What happens after those first 5 minutes depends almost entirely on the individual dog, their temperament, their age, their history of being left alone, and, crucially, how secure or insecure their attachment to you is. Some dogs regulate themselves quickly, finding comfort in familiar smells and routines. Others remain in a state of elevated anxiety for much longer. But for most dogs, something important happens around the 5 to 15-minute mark. The acute stress begins to subside, their nervous system downregulates, and the long middle of the day begins, the big sleep. Here is the thing that surprises most dog owners when they first see it on a camera. After the initial distress settles, most dogs sleep. A lot. Research using accelerometers, small activity tracking devices, attached to dogs left alone, found that the average dog spends between 50 and 70% of their alone time resting or sleeping. Some studies put this figure even higher, particularly for older dogs or dogs who received vigorous exercise before being left alone. This is not laziness, it is biology. Dogs are built to rest in multiple shorter cycles throughout the day rather than in one long overnight block. Their natural energy peaks are at dawn and at dusk. During the quiet, light-filled hours of midday, sleep is simply the path of least resistance. So while you're at work imagining your dog sitting at the window, staring into the middle distance with tragic eyes, waiting for the sound of your car, they are almost certainly lying upside down on your couch, legs in the air, dreaming. But here is what makes this sleep different from ordinary rest. Dogs almost universally migrate toward surfaces and locations that carry their owner's scent. Your pillow, your side of the bed, the blanket you left on the sofa, the shirt you dropped on the chair. These are not random choices. Research has demonstrated that the scent of a familiar, bonded human measurably lowers a dog's heart rate and reduces cortisol levels. Your smell, even in your absence, is functioning as a form of biochemical comfort. Your dog is not just sleeping. They are sleeping close to whatever remains of you. The environmental patrol. When your dog is not sleeping, they are often working. Dogs are fundamentally nose-first creatures. Their olfactory system contains roughly 300 million scent receptors, compared to about 6 million in a human nose. Their brain devotes proportionally 40 times more neural real estate to processing smell than ours does. In effect, your dog navigates and understands the world primarily through information that is completely invisible to you, and your home to your dog's nose is a living, shifting archive. Behaviorists have documented a behavior they call environmental patrol, a slow, deliberate movement through a space, room by room, surface by surface, low to the ground, in which the dog catalogs and processes olfactory changes since their last inspection. What did you eat this morning? Where have you been recently? Which rooms? Which furniture, which objects did you touch?
Did anyone else come into the house?
Has anything new arrived, been moved, been removed? Is there food anywhere that wasn't there before? Your dog is reading all of this. They are conducting a forensic investigation of your shared space, gathering information, updating their internal map of their world. This patrol is not anxious behavior. It is purposeful. It is what a highly intelligent sensory animal does with their time. When the social dimension of their day has temporarily gone quiet, it is in its own way a form of staying close to you, because everything in your home carries traces of you. The listening. Beyond scent, your dog is also a sophisticated audio surveillance system. The canine hearing range extends from approximately 40 Hz to 65,000 Hz, compared to a human range of roughly 20 to 20,000 Hz. Dogs can hear sounds 4 times farther away than we can, and they can move each ear independently to triangulate the precise direction of a sound source. In an empty house, your dog is listening constantly. They hear the elevator arriving on your floor. They hear footsteps in the corridor and evaluate their rhythm, their weight, their cadence. They hear cars slowing outside and distinguish, unconsciously, automatically, between the acoustic signature of your car and every other car on the street. They hear the specific jangle of your keys, which is different from every other set of keys in the world. Every sound that enters their awareness is processed against one central question. Is this my person coming back? The results of this continuous listening are remarkable. Multiple studies have documented that securely bonded dogs begin showing pre-return excitement. Behaviors, increased activity, movement toward the door, tail wagging, vocalizations, an average of 10 to 20 minutes before their owner actually arrives home. This was initially attributed to dogs sensing routine or time, but experiments that deliberately varied owners' return times, eliminating predictable schedules, found that dogs still anticipated returns with unusual accuracy. Current research suggests dogs may be responding to the gradual fade of their owner's scent from the environment. As the morning's trace weakens toward a certain threshold, the dog's nervous system begins to anticipate reunion. They are not waiting passively. They are actively, continuously monitoring the world for signs of your return, the mischief and what it really means. Now let's talk about the part that brings many dog owners through the front door with a sinking feeling. You come home. Something has been destroyed. A cushion has been partially dismantled. The bathroom trash has been investigated at length. A shoe, somehow always a shoe, has been relocated and thoroughly chewed. Your dog looks up at you, ears pinned back, tail tucked, eyes wide and soft. And your first instinct is, they know exactly what they did. Here is what the science actually shows. They don't. Not in the cognitive sense we mean when we attribute guilt to them. What your dog is reading is not their own memory of wrongdoing. They are reading you. The moment you walked through the door and your eyes landed on the mess, your body language shifted, your posture changed, your facial muscles tightened, your voice, even before you said a word, carried a different charge. And your dog, who has spent their entire life becoming an expert in your emotional signals, detected that shift instantly and completely. The ears back, tail low expression we interpret as guilt is more accurately described as appeasement behavior. It is your dog communicating. I have detected that something is wrong. I don't want conflict. Please don't be upset with me. It is not an admission. It is a de-escalation strategy. The actual cause of the destruction is almost always one of two things. The first is boredom. Dogs are intelligent, high-energy animals who have evolved over thousands of years to work, move, explore, and solve problems alongside humans. When that stimulation disappears for 8 or 10 hours, the brain finds its own entertainment. Chewing, digging, pulling. These are self-directed activities that engage the same physical and cognitive systems that working and playing do. The shoe was not a target. It was simply the most interesting object within reach. The second is anxiety. For dogs who struggle with being alone, destructive behavior is frequently a stress response. The act of chewing, the rhythmic, repetitive physical motion releases endorphins and neurochemicals that have a calming effect on an anxious nervous system. Your dog is not being defiant. They are self-medicating. They are doing the only thing they have found that makes the distress of your absence slightly more bearable. Neither cause is a behavioral problem that can be solved with punishment after the fact. Both are solved or significantly reduced with enrichment, exercise, and addressing the underlying anxiety before you leave. The window watchers. Many dogs spend a significant portion of their alone time at the window, and this behavior is worth understanding because it is not the same for every dog. For some dogs, window watching is a form of low-level entertainment. the visual stimulation of movement. Birds, pedestrians, delivery vehicles, squirrels, other dogs being walked past. These dogs tend to be relaxed at the window, ears neutral, tail occasionally wagging at something interesting. For them, the window is a television, a mild and pleasant distraction from the quiet of the house. For other dogs, particularly those with higher arousal or anxiety, window exposure can actually increase stress rather than reduce it. The sight of strangers, unfamiliar dogs, or unusual activity on the street can trigger alerting responses, barking, and elevated cortisol that keeps the dog in a state of low-grade agitation throughout the entire day. Owners of these dogs often find that blocking window access actually improves their dog's overall calm during alone time. Understanding which type of window watcher your dog is, the curious observer or the anxious sentinel, is a meaningful piece of information for designing their alone time environment well. The same object can be enrichment for one dog and a stressor for another. Your dog is not most dogs. They are themselves. The emotional clock. One of the most striking findings in canine behavior research involves what some researchers have informally called the emotional clock. Studies using time-lapse video of dogs left alone have documented a consistent pattern across many different dogs and households. As the hours of alone time accumulate, the frequency with which dogs orient their body toward the front door increases. Not constantly, not obsessively, but measurably, persistently, a gradual reorientation toward the point of departure and eventual return. This appears to reflect a genuine internal anticipation, a building readiness for the reunion that the dog has learned, through countless repetitions, will eventually come. They have not given up. They have not decided you are gone forever. They are patiently, quietly, continuously expecting you. The emotional and neurological state of a dog in the hour before their owner's return is measurably different from their state in the middle of the day. Activity increases. Alertness sharpens. The auditory monitoring intensifies. The dog is preparing for the most important event of their day, the reunion, the peak of their day. And then you come home. The moment your key turns in the lock, or even earlier, the moment your specific footstep, pattern registers in the hallway and something ignites, everything that has been quietly waiting, quietly monitoring, quietly hoping, releases all at once. The tail, the spinning, the full-body wiggle that seems physically impossible for one animal to sustain. The whimpering that is somehow both joyful and desperate at the same time. The jumping that you have tried to train away and somehow never quite managed to, because the impulse behind it is simply too strong. This is not just excitement. This is the release of a day's worth of accumulated longing. Scientific measurements confirm what every dog owner already knows in their bones. Research measuring oxytocin, the bonding neurochemical associated with love, trust, and social connection, found that the reunion moment between a dog and their returning owner produces the single highest spike in oxytocin that a dog experiences in any measured interaction throughout the day. Higher than feeding, higher than play, higher than meeting other dogs, higher than any other moment. You, walking back through that door, are the peak emotional experience of your dog's entire day, every single time. No matter how ordinary it feels to you, no matter how distracted or tired you are, no matter how briefly you were gone, to your dog, your return is an event worth celebrating with every ounce of joy they possess. Your dog's day while you are away is a long and quiet vigil. It is the snooze on the cushion that carries your scent. It is the slow patrol through familiar rooms. Nose reading the air for information, for reassurance, for the traces of you that linger in every corner of your shared home. It is the ears turning toward every sound in the building, evaluating, waiting. It is the gradual, patient reorientation toward the door as the light shifts and the hours pass. And underneath all of it, underneath every nap and every sniff and every listening, Paws runs one continuous thread, waiting for you, not with resentment, not with confusion, with a kind of faithful, open-hearted patience that most humans would find difficult to sustain even for an afternoon. Your dog does not know where you go. They do not understand offices or obligations or the complicated architecture of a human working day. They only know that you left, that the world is quieter and less full without you, and that you will come back. And that when you do, when that door opens and your shape fills the frame again, everything that was missing will be restored. There is something worth sitting with in that. In a world of complicated relationships and conditional love, your dog's relationship with you is beautifully, almost painfully simple. You are their world. Your return is their joy. Your presence is their peace. The least we can do, when we walk through that door, is be fully there for the reunion they have been building toward all day. If this video gave you a new way of seeing your dog's inner life, please leave a comment below. Tell us what you've noticed. Subscribe for more explorations of the animal mind. We'll see you in the next one.